Hey guys, and welcome to my new video. A few days ago, the new official trailer of Godzilla Minus One was released, and I am more than impressed. In this video, I'm going to analyze the trailer with you guys and talk about what we could actually expect from this movie. In the first scene, we see many people running away from something. It's the scene from the teaser trailer, but with a bit more screen time. In the background, we hear sirens alarming the people of the city. Someone shouts, "What is it?" Another person answers, "I don't know, something big." It is obvious. This is the scene where Godzilla makes land in Tokyo. Then we see one of the main characters, portrayed by the actor Ryunosuke Kamiki, who is injured and looks quite shocked. This moment could be the aftermath of Godzilla's rampage in Tokyo. However, his injury could indicate that he already had an encounter with Godzilla earlier, or he's a soldier who returned from war. In the next shot, we see two train drivers panicking, and in the window we see the reflection of a train being thrown onto the railroad tracks. And that's the scene from the next clip that we already know, where Godzilla bites a train and throws it. We then see Godzilla emerging from a dust cloud. We can assume this is one of the scenes where Godzilla is walking through Tokyo and is devastating the city, tearing down the buildings and leaving nothing but destruction. We cut then to a shot where we got the actress Mimani Hababe. She's looking through the window and is asking herself, is that Godzilla? This could indicate that she has already heard of Godzilla before, but never saw him. Probably one of her friends or relatives who works for the military or government has told her about this monster already. That's why she's pretty shocked and can't believe her own eyes. Then we see the scenes we already saw in the first trailer, but this time extended. But we also see our main character again running away with a woman. Behind them is Godzilla, going for a nice walk, not realizing he buries hundreds of people under his feet. As I already mentioned in the earlier video, we can see his feet are bigger than the ones of Legendary, which gives him more space to walk. Next, we get a scene that looks quite interesting to me. We see a giant explosion and Godzilla standing right next to it. Interesting is also that the people are no longer running, but watching the situation. Now, the main question here is, what exactly is happening in this scene? What is this explosion? Is it the result of Godzilla's atomic breath, an exploding building like a factory, or the worst case scenario, an atomic bomb explosion? I think the atomic bomb is the most likely theory. The decisive factor for this theory is the blast that we see right here. Such a violent and rapidly spreading explosion can only be caused by an atomic bomb. What I'm also wondering about is the fact that the people on the ground, including our two main characters, are not running away, but watching the explosion. I theorize that a US military plane passes over Godzilla and drops an atomic bomb. Godzilla then is distracted for a moment and stops moving, and that's why the people also stop and watch the bomb dropping until it reaches the ground and explodes. However, this scene is questionable to me, as two of our main characters would die. Might be the ending of the movie, and in my eyes it's a quite depressing and sad ending. An ending nobody wishes to happen. But maybe that's exactly what the film wants to achieve. It wants to show that no matter how hard they fight, in the end, the chance winning against Godzilla is almost impossible. The people on the ground are accepting their fate, and everything happens so fast that they don't have time to talk to each other. Like in Terminator, where Kyle Reese sacrificed himself to save Sarah Connor. They did not even have a chance to say goodbye to each other. He just died instantly. After the war lost, the US military had the upper hand in Japan and could still order bombers to attack. Maybe the US military thought the only way to defeat this kaiju was to bomb it with a nuke, to stop it for good. The thousands of civilian casualties are just a side issue, not calculated into the main objective. This scenario reminds me at the ending of Alien vs Predator 2. The aliens spread unstoppably through the town. The US government promised the citizens to evacuate them, but the truth was that the government never planned to rescue the people from the city. The government knew that the only way to stop the alien invasion was to wipe them all out instantly by destroying the town. The military told the people to go to the town center, where they will be picked up by military helicopters. As the people made their way to the city center, the aliens followed them. With the aliens at one spot, a fighter jet then dropped a nuclear bomb and wiped out all in an instant. No matter if the people were there or not, their main objective was to kill the creatures before they can spread any further. Maybe the US military wants to use the same strategy to kill Godzilla in Japan by dropping a third atomic bomb. Back to Minus One. There's also another theory about the scene. Maybe it's just a nightmare sequence. Our main character could be a survivor of the Hiroshima or Nagasaki bomb and was also present when Godzilla attacked, and he's disturbed by these two events, and now he has a nightmare about the two worst things he has ever seen in his life: the atomic bomb explosion and Godzilla's attack. And in his dream, these two scenarios meet. What speaks against this theory is that the Japanese trailers usually don't have many spoilers, and this scene would be a heavy spoiler. I compared the situation to the movie Mission Impossible Fallout. In the opening, there was a scene where Ethan Hunt was about to marry his great love, Julia, and fulfilling his great dream. In the background, however, we suddenly see an atomic bomb detonate. His enemy, Solomon Lane, is standing right next to him, saying, "You should have killed me, Ethan." The atomic blast gets closer and closer, and in the last moment before it hits them, Ethan wakes up. We may have the same situation in Minus One. Then we see my favorite shot of the trailer: Godzilla diving under a naval ship. It's kind of mysterious, as the crew probably doesn't know there is a monster right beneath them. We only see Godzilla walking in the trailer, but it would be interesting to see how his swimming looks like, as such a giant beast is probably quite slow on land, but fast in water. The CGI in this scene looks amazing. This scene gives me also legendary Godzilla vibes, as we had multiple similar scenes in the movie with the G-Man. In the next shot, we see a boat in the ocean and a main character asking, "Why were we cold out here?" Here I guess that someone wants to show him something that has to do with the existence of Godzilla, which he doesn't know yet. We cut then to a shot where we see a microfilm presentation provided by the United States of America War Office, and we also hear someone saying their government is not telling the public. Here you gotta be careful, because which government is meant? Is it referred to the Japanese government or the American government? It's obvious that the Americans will also play a big role in this movie. As we know, after the Second World War, the US military occupied Japan from 1945 till 1952 and reformed its political system. I think the Americans are already aware of the existence of Godzilla and observed him. That indicates a teaser trailer which was released shortly before our current trailer. Here we see the camera diving into the ocean and a radar receiving a signal. I think everyone knows that this signal can only be our G-Man. Next we see a naval map where the Navy is tracking something over the ocean. We see more coordinates and destroyed ships. Then we see on the map that something is getting closer and closer to Japanese territory. Then we see a letter being sent to the Japanese Prime Minister. This letter is saying, "Dear Mr. Prime Minister, our intelligence agency, coordinating with Allied naval forces, has confirmed the presence of a massive aquatic organism headed at high speed towards the Japanese archipelago from the south." Signed by the General of the United States Army, Douglas MacArthur, who was responsible for the occupation of Japan after World War II. What is interesting to me is the fact that the letter was dated on 10th of February 1947, 2 years after the end of the Second World War. I actually believed that the movie takes place right after the Second World War. Maybe the movie takes place at two different points in time, and time passes in between. And now, my favorite part of the teaser: pictures of Godzilla's dorsal plates breaching out of the water of the ocean. All of this gives me legendary Godzilla vibes. In the Legendary franchise, Monarch has hidden the existence of monsters from the whole world, and after the events of Godzilla 2014, the world has discovered that monsters are actually real. And in Shin Godzilla, where the Americans also had certain information about Godzilla, revealing them to Japan after Shin made land in Tokyo. All of these evidence show that the US government knew about the existence of Godzilla long before the Japanese did. Then we see two ships about to collide and a voice saying, "Somebody's got to do it," meaning someone has to tell the people about Godzilla and that he could attack. Then we see our main character. He's injured and screaming out of anger and sadness. He was already wearing that bandage in the sequence when Godzilla was stepping on the people and when the atomic bomb went off. So either someone he loved was killed by Godzilla or he somehow survived the atomic bomb attack. Then we see someone pointing with his finger at Tokyo on a map, probably indicating that Godzilla will attack at that location. Next we see another cool shot. We see Godzilla's hand reaching out of the water and grabbing a naval ship. The next shot is epic. We see a blue shockwave followed by Godzilla firing his atomic breath and destroying it with his blast. The blast of the atomic breath looks amazing. It looks like a mixture of the legendary Godzilla's atomic breath and an electro beam. The ship is completely destroyed and the explosion looks like an atomic bomb. We have similar scenes in legendary Monsterverse. In Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla fires its atomic blast under the water at the aircraft carrier in order to get Kong off the ship. Then we see the actor Munetaka Aoki crying, "Everyone is dead." Then we see a boat investigating a destroyed transport ship. Maybe the ship got hit by Godzilla's dorsal plates. In the next sequence, we see the actress Sakura Ando in great anger, confronting a Japanese soldier and calling him a disgrace. I assume that in this scene, Godzilla devastated their home and the soldier was aware about Godzilla's existence but had the duty to stay silent. And when he tells the woman he knew that something like this could happen, but he didn't say anything, she gets angry. Then we see a part of a ship being thrown into the Tokyo Bay area. In the next scene, we see one of our main characters saying, "This monster will never forgive us." The trailer is then saying, "Survive and fight." This phrase represents the Japanese imperialist spirit during World War II. The soldiers had to fight for the empire, no matter what the cost, and most of them did so. The honor and pride of the Japanese forces was great. Keep fighting against the enemy forces was the main objective, and surrender was not an option. And the line, "This monster will never forgive us," probably refers to the next scene. In this scene we see Godzilla making landfall with a destroyed ship next to him. And in the next shot, we see Godzilla rising and roaring out of pain. His skin looks burnt and somehow mutated, and his skin texture also changed from bright to dark. And this is where my atomic bomb theory comes into play again. It is probably the case that the humans dropped an atomic bomb on Godzilla and expected him to be dead. People thought that after the nuclear attack the terror is over, but the opposite is the case. Somehow he survived and retreated to the sea again, and as soon as he recovers he returns to Japan to take revenge. That's why our character is saying, "This monster will never forgive us." This scenario reminds me at Batman v Superman, when the government tried to kill Doomsday with an atomic bomb, and for a short time they thought they made it, but it didn't work as expected. Doomsday crashed back on Earth, and the energy of the atomic bomb caused him to mutate and only made him stronger. So the exact opposite happened of what they actually wanted to achieve. And only true kryptonite was able to kill Doomsday. Maybe in Godzilla Minus One we have some kind of a similar scenario, and the kryptonite might be in this case an oxygen destroyer. And at the end, a surprise. We get this movie even in IMAX and 4DX. And this is where the trailer ends. In my eyes, the trailer looks amazing and I can't wait for the movie to be released. But I have to admit, the movie is not shying away from violence and brutality. We will see many deaths in this movie. In most of the Godzilla movies, we tend to see the destruction from Godzilla's eye level. The dead people on the ground usually don't get that much of attention. In this movie, it will be different. We will see more from the perspective of the people on the ground, and it will be nothing but pain, terror, and brutality. This movie is obviously rebooting the original 1954 movie. The roar of Godzilla also goes more in the classic direction of the movie franchise. The music is also very dark, representing a horrible event. So guys, now we're at the end of my video. I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you in the next one.